The invasion of Naboo in 32 BBY began when the Trade Federation, a powerful and profit-driven organization led by Viceroy Newt Gunray, initiated a blockade around the small planet of Naboo. At the heart of this invasion was the Trade Federation's objection to the newly imposed Republic taxes on trade routes, a policy they saw as a direct attack on their profits. Under the hidden influence of the Sith Lord Darth Sidious, the Trade Federation's leaders were drawn into a scheme far darker and more treacherous than they realized. Following the Sith Order's apparent extinction from the galaxy after Darth Bane's establishment of the Rule of Two, the Sith had seemingly vanished from the galactic stage, yet Darth Sidious and his master Darth Plagueis had been working in the shadows, orchestrating these events to advance their plan for galactic domination. Queen Padme Amidala, the young ruler of Naboo, watched as her planet was surrounded by massive Trade Federation battleships, cutting off all access to and from her world. Her attempts at diplomacy within the Senate fell short, as the bureaucratic process stalled and key politicians hesitated to intervene. With the blockade in place, the Trade Federation's armies invaded Naboo, deploying legions of battle droids to capture the capital city of Theed. The citizens of Naboo, a peaceful people with no standing army, were swiftly overwhelmed. Entire villages were occupied, and Queen Amidala herself was captured and held under house arrest in her own palace. The Trade Federation's actions sent shockwaves through the galaxy, challenging the Republic's ability to protect its members and exposing the Senate's vulnerability to corporate influence. Amidala's capture, however, was short-lived. Two Jedi Knights, Qui-Gon Jinn and his apprentice Obi-Wan Kenobi, were dispatched by the Jedi Council to negotiate with the Trade Federation, but were quickly targeted for assassination on Sidious's orders. Escaping with their lives, the Jedi made their way to Naboo, where they helped Queen Amidala escape the Trade Federation's control and seek aid from the Republic. During their flight, they made an unexpected stop on Tatooine, where Qui-Gon discovered a Force-sensitive slave boy named Anakin Skywalker, who's said to carry the potential to bring balance to the Force, being the chosen one for that. On Tatooine, the Jedi received their first unsettling glimpse of the Sith's return when Darth Maul ambushed Qui-Gon Jinn, engaging him in a fierce duel just as Qui-Gon was about to make his escape. Escaping Maul, the squad makes it safely to Coruscant to plead for help from the Senate. However, Amidala's plea for help was met with political inaction, as influential senators and bureaucrats prioritized personal agendas over justice. Seeing the Republic's weakness, she called for a vote of no confidence in Supreme Chancellor Valorum, leading to his removal and the election of Senator Palpatine of Naboo as the new Chancellor, a position that would serve Sidious's agenda in the years to come and reveal itself to be the reason that he initiated the blockade in the first place. After his election as Chancellor, Palpatine took the final step to solidify his path to ultimate power by killing his master Darth Plagueis in his sleep. This act of treachery not only eliminated the only being powerful enough to potentially challenge him, but also marked his ascension as the sole Dark Lord of the Sith. With his master gone, Palpatine was free to enact his grand plan without any interference. The final battle took place on the plains of Naboo, where Queen Amidala, allied with the indigenous Gungan warriors, led a counteroffensive to reclaim her planet. The Gungan Grand Army, led by the great General Jar Jar Binks, bravely fought the Trade Federation's battle droids, while Amidala's forces infiltrated the palace to capture Viceroy Gunray. Meanwhile, in Theed's hangar, the Jedi confronted Darth Maul. In a fierce duel, Maul mortally wounded Qui-Gon, only to be defeated by Obi-Wan, who struck him down with his master's lightsaber. The battle is ultimately won when a young Anakin Skywalker destroys the Trade Federation control ship, thus deactivating the droids on the ground down below. With the Trade Federation's forces defeated and Gunray captured, the invasion of Naboo came to an end. However, the conflict left its effects on the galaxy. While Naboo was liberated, the Republic's inability to respond decisively was exposed, and the seeds of distrust and political manipulation planted by Sidious would soon blossom into a galaxy-wide conflict. Anakin Skywalker, now taken as Obi-Wan's apprentice, began his path toward a destiny that would forever alter the course of galactic history. This invasion would be remembered as the first open strike in the Sith's hidden campaign to unravel the Republic, setting the stage for the turmoil that would lead to the fall of the Jedi and the dawn of the Empire. The Clone Wars began as a direct result of the political instability and manipulations that had taken root during the invasion of Naboo, a conflict that laid bare the Republic's weaknesses and set the stage for far greater turmoil. 10 years after Naboo's invasion, the galaxy was again thrown into chaos, this time by a full-scale civil war that would ultimately shape the fate of the Republic and the Jedi Order. The seeds of the Clone Wars were planted in the aftermath of Naboo's invasion, orchestrated by Darth Sidious, the now Supreme Chancellor of the Republic. Using his dual identity to control both sides of a growing galactic schism, Sidious engineered divisions that would ultimately fracture the Republic. Many systems, disillusioned by the Senate's corruption and inefficacy, began to rally behind Count Dooku, a charismatic former Jedi who publicly criticized the Republic's failures. Unbeknownst to most, Dooku was Sidious's new Sith apprentice, Darth Tyrannus, and he led a separatist movement designed to pull the galaxy into war. As the Separatist Alliance formed, gathering allies across hundreds of star systems, the threat of a large-scale conflict loomed even larger. The Republic's lack of a standing military became a glaring issue, one that the Senate was reluctant to address. However, with pressure mounting and Separatist forces expanding their reach, support for the Republic Army grew. This led to the sudden revelation of a secret clone army on Kamino, commissioned by Jedi Master Sifo Dyas years earlier under mysterious circumstances. These clones, grown and trained specifically for warfare, were based on the genetic material of the Mandalorian bounty hunter Jango Fett, who also happened to serve as an agent for Darth Tyrannus. With the threat of separatist droid armies looming, the Republic swiftly approved the deployment of the clone army. The war officially began on the desert world of Geonosis, where Jedi Knight Obi-Wan Kenobi uncovered a separatist droid factory and discovered the massive droid army assembled to wage war against the Republic. Obi-Wan, Anakin Skywalker, and Senator Padme Amidala were captured while investigating, but were quickly rescued by the Jedi Order. The ensuing Battle of Geonosis saw the first deployment of the clone troopers, and the Jedi fought alongside them against the Separatists' seemingly endless droid forces. Although the Republic claimed victory, the battle was only the beginning of a conflict that would engulf the galaxy. As the war spread across star systems, the Jedi were pulled from their traditional role as peacekeepers and thrust into positions of military leadership. Jedi Knights and Masters, including Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and even Grandmaster Yoda became generals in the newly formed Grand Army of the Republic, leading clone battalions in countless battles. The Jedi's involvement would come at great cost, as many members of the Order began to question the ethical implications of leading an army bred solely for war, and the dark side grew ever stronger. Throughout the Clone Wars, Chancellor Palpatine's power continued to expand. He leveraged the crisis to consolidate unprecedented authority, often overriding the Senate and bending laws in the name of emergency powers. No one suspected that Palpatine himself was orchestrating the entire war to pit both sides against one another, draining the Republic's resources and drawing the Jedi into a position of vulnerability. The Clone Wars saw brutal battles and intense struggles, from the urban warfare of Christophsis to the haunting campaign on Umbara. Key victories and losses shaped the Republic, and the galaxy's hero became its tragic figure. Anakin Skywalker emerged as a war hero, but the ongoing war and his growing frustration with the Jedi Order limitations would push him closer to the dark side. At the heart of Sidious's plot was the manipulation that would forever alter the course of the galaxy: the fall of Anakin Skywalker. In his most desperate hour, Anakin succumbed to Sidious's promises to save his wife Padme. He pledged his allegiance to the dark side, receiving the new identity of Darth Vader. The apprentice Sidious had long desired. With Anakin's transformation into Vader, the Sith were poised to complete their millennia-old vendetta against the Jedi. Then, at the command of Darth Sidious, Order 66 was executed. Across battlefields and star systems, clone troopers turned on their Jedi leaders without hesitation. The Jedi, once revered as guardians of peace, were systematically purged, decimated in a single devastating act of treachery. Anakin, now Darth Vader, led an assault on the Jedi Temple, slaughtering all within its walls, even the younglings he had once vowed to protect. This horrific massacre marked the Sith's ultimate revenge and the near-total annihilation of the Jedi Order. For a millennium, despite countless wars and relentless conflict, the Jedi had always emerged resilient, standing as defenders of peace and justice. But never before had they suffered a defeat of this magnitude. Never in the entire history had they been driven so close to extinction, their numbers reduced to mere remnants scattered across the galaxy. The Sith had finally succeeded in nearly eradicating their ancient foes, achieving a triumph that had eluded them for generations. The Clone Wars ultimately were revealed as a grand deception, a war manufactured by Darth Sidious to destroy the Jedi and pave the way for the Empire. What had started as a simple trade dispute over the invasion of Naboo more than a decade earlier had spiraled into a galaxy-wide conflict, plunging billions into suffering and reshaping the very fabric of galactic governance. With the Republic gone and the Jedi nearly extinct, Sidious's empire rose from the ashes, and the Sith's ultimate victory was complete. Anakin Skywalker, the Chosen One, destined to bring balance to the Force, had fallen into darkness, re-emerging as Darth Vader, the feared enforcer of the Emperor's new Galactic Empire and powerful ally of the Sith. The Galactic Civil War, spanning from 0 to 5 ABY, marked by the struggle between the oppressive Galactic Empire and the Rebel Alliance, a coalition of freedom fighters from across the galaxy determined to restore the Republic and bring fall to the Empire. The war's origins lay in the rise of Emperor Palpatine, who had transformed the Republic into a galactic empire following the Clone Wars. Using fear and the might of his Imperial forces, he maintained an iron grip on countless star systems, suppressing opposition and enforcing loyalty through brutal tactics. The tipping point of the war came with the construction of the Death Star, a massive space station capable of destroying entire planets. Meant as a weapon of ultimate control, the Death Star was also a symbol of the Empire's unrelenting power. However, the Alliance managed to acquire secret plans to the station, revealing a critical flaw. Led by Princess Leia Organa, the rebels fought to transmit these plans to their forces, despite Leia's capture by Darth Vader. Leia's call for help reached a young farm boy on Tatooine, Luke Skywalker, the son of Darth Vader, sparking his journey to join the rebellion and ultimately become a Jedi with the help of the exiled Obi-Wan Kenobi, one of the few survivors of the Clone Wars. The first significant victory of the Rebel Alliance came during the Battle of Yavin, where a small rebel fleet launched a desperate assault on the Death Star. Luke, guided by the Force, delivered a perfect shot into the station's thermal exhaust port, triggering a chain reaction that destroyed the Death Star and dealt a crushing blow to the Empire. The victory at Yavin rallied countless systems to the Rebel cause, but it also intensified the Empire's resolve to eradicate the Alliance. Over the next few years, a war waged across numerous fronts. The Rebels established hidden bases in remote locations, while the Empire hunted them relentlessly. One of the war's most pivotal moments was the Battle of Hoth, where the Empire discovered and attacked the Rebel base on the icy planet of Hoth. Forced to evacuate, the Rebels suffered heavy losses, yet continued to elude the Empire and regroup to fight another day. As the conflict progressed, Luke Skywalker sought to strengthen his connection to the Force, training with Jedi Master Yoda on Dagobah in hopes of becoming the Jedi who could turn the tide against the Sith. Meanwhile, the Empire constructed a second Death Star, even more powerful than the first, and prepared to crush the rebellion once and for all. The Battle of Endor became the decisive confrontation of the Galactic Civil War. The Rebel Alliance, learning of the new Death Star's construction, launched a daring assault, while a ground team, including Han Solo and Leia Organa, worked with the native Ewoks to disable the Death Star's shield generator on Endor's forest moon. In space, the Rebel fleet fought against overwhelming odds, with Luke confronting Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine aboard the Death Star. Palpatine attempted to turn Luke to the dark side, but in a final act of redemption, Vader turned on his master and saved his son, killing Palpatine and seemingly ending the Sith's rule over the galaxy. Moments later, the Rebel fleet destroyed the Death Star, and the Empire suffered a catastrophic defeat. The Battle of Endor was a victory not only for the Alliance, but for all those who had suffered under the Empire's tyranny. Across the galaxy, celebrations erupted as planets cast off Imperial rule. The death of the Emperor and the destruction of the Death Star left the Empire leaderless and fragmented, with countless worlds seizing the opportunity to liberate themselves. The Galactic Civil War, while technically continuing in skirmishes and pockets of resistance, was effectively won by the Rebel Alliance at Endor. The victory established the foundation for the New Republic and the rise of Luke Skywalker's new Jedi Order, marking the beginning of a new era of freedom, justice, and hope across the galaxy under the governance of the New Republic. Following the defeat of the Galactic Empire at the Battle of Endor, the New Republic had taken control of much of the galaxy. With the Emperor and Darth Vader gone, the Empire fractured into territories controlled by warlords and local governors, and Imperial territory shrank to a fraction of its former size. The New Republic, though victorious, had also suffered heavy losses and struggled to maintain unity and order among its liberated worlds. In 9 ABY, a new threat emerged in the form of Grand Admiral Thrawn, a Chiss tactician who took command of the remaining Imperial fleet. Thrawn quickly earned the respect of influential Moffs and warlords, uniting them under his leadership by eliminating pirate threats and re-establishing Imperial control over their fractured forces. Raising his flag on the Star Destroyer Chimera and with Captain Gilad Pellaeon as his second-in-command, Thrawn launched a campaign to rebuild the Empire, believing the galaxy required a powerful and decisive military to defend against external threats. Unlike the Empire's reliance on fear and force, Thrawn's approach to battle was marked by precision and deep analysis of his enemies. He launched raids on New Republic supply lines and military installations to destabilize the Republic without risking large-scale battles, seeing as now they had limited resources compared to the New Republic. Using the Ysalamiri, creatures that create force-neutralizing bubbles, Thrawn protected himself from Jedi interference and manipulated Joruus C'baoth, an unstable Dark Jedi clone, into aiding his plans. In the meantime, Thrawn set out to gather new resources for his forces from the planet Wayland, which contained a lot of the Emperor's secret experiments. Among them were Sparti cloning cylinders, which he used to create his own clone army. One of Thrawn's first major victories came with the capture of the Katana fleet, a lost fleet of dreadnoughts from the Clone Wars which he got a hold of in a race before the New Republic and Luke Skywalker. Now that Thrawn had assembled a fleet strong enough to start the campaign properly, the galaxy saw intense battles and skirmishes across numerous star systems. Thrawn's guerrilla tactics forced the New Republic to spread its defenses thin, and their defensive efforts were futile against the strategic brilliance of the Grand Admiral, with several worlds falling under Imperial control. As the campaign progressed, Thrawn launched an assault on Coruscant in which he deployed 24 cloaked asteroids around the planet, creating the illusion of a much larger minefield by broadcasting signals that made it seem like there were over 300 cloaked asteroids in orbit. The New Republic, unable to detect these cloaked objects, was effectively blockaded, as any attempt to leave or enter Coruscant could lead to catastrophic collisions. This further demonstrated the strategic brilliance of Thrawn, as this siege isolated the Republic's leadership and disrupted its communication and operations, taking Coruscant out of the war without requiring a full fleet or sustained battle. As the New Republic scrambled to respond to Thrawn's relentless assaults, they urgently assembled a counteroffensive at the Bilbringi shipyards. With defeat seeming imminent, and hundreds of systems declaring neutrality or returning to the Empire, Admiral Ackbar devised a risky plan. He aimed to capture a sensor capable of detecting cloaked objects from Bilbringi to lift the siege of Coruscant. Ackbar also saw this as an opportunity to strike a decisive blow, disproving the myth of Thrawn's invincibility. To execute the plan, the New Republic gathered ships from across its territories, reshaping battle groups to bolster the fleet. Ackbar launched an assault on Bilbringi, hoping for a victory akin to the Battle of Endor. But Thrawn, anticipating their move, had prepared a trap, drawing the New Republic fleet into a brutal confrontation designed to crush their forces once and for all. During the battle at Bilbringi, the New Republic found themselves outmatched as Thrawn's tactics were overwhelming. On the brink of victory, however, Thrawn's campaign was abruptly halted due to numerous factors that even Thrawn couldn't anticipate. Leia Organa Solo had revealed to the Noghri, Thrawn's loyal bodyguards, that they had been deceived by the Empire. By exposing how the Empire had poisoned their homeworld of Honoghr and manipulated their loyalty through false aid, Leia shattered the Noghri's trust in Thrawn and the Empire. Rook, Thrawn's Noghri bodyguard, assassinated him aboard the Chimera, leaving his forces leaderless and marking the end of the brilliant Grand Admiral. Simultaneously, New Republic forces, including Luke Skywalker, Mara Jade, and Han Solo, destroyed the cloning facility on Wayland, cutting off Thrawn's supply of soldiers. Thrawn's death at Bilbringi shattered the cohesion he had built among the Imperial remnants. His loss created a power vacuum, triggering renewed infighting among Imperial factions. While the New Republic sustained considerable losses in the campaign, they had ultimately secured their control over the galaxy, allowing them a brief period of stability to regroup and consolidate power. Although the Imperial remnant continued to resist the New Republic for years to come, Thrawn's death marked the end of a unified Imperial threat. Gilad Pellaeon took the remaining forces loyal to Thrawn and retreated to the unknown regions. The New Republic solidified its position, and the defeat of Thrawn paved the way for a new era of hope and reconstruction across the galaxy. In 10 ABY, following the defeat of Thrawn, the New Republic faced a mysterious new threat. In a mission to disrupt the remaining Imperial forces, Luke Skywalker and Lando Calrissian were engaged in a skirmish above Coruscant. However, as they fought, Luke sensed a powerful disturbance in the Force, a dark, unnatural energy. At that moment, a massive force storm appeared, tearing through space-time and pulling Luke and his droid R2-D2 into its center. Luke and R2-D2 were transported to Biss, a remote world deep in the galaxy's core, shrouded in the dark side of the Force. There, Luke found himself face to face with a resurrected Palpatine, who had summoned the Force storm to bring him to Biss. Palpatine reveals to Luke that he had been using ancient Sith alchemy and built himself several clone bodies to allow him to stave off death, transferring his essence into the clones. The clones did deteriorate over time as they weren't able to hold Palpatine's essence for long. However, he had plenty of clones to transfer his essence into once the current clone had deteriorated completely. Palpatine, appearing younger and more powerful than ever, offered Luke a chance to join him as his apprentice. Luke, believing he could resist the Emperor's influence and hoping to dismantle the Empire from within, agreed, thinking he could turn the dark side's power against itself, and kneels to Palpatine, becoming his apprentice. While Luke struggled with Palpatine on Biss, the Emperor launched Operation Shadowhand, his master plan to reclaim control of the galaxy. He deployed fleets of world devastators, massive city-sized machines that consume planets for raw materials and use them to manufacture weapons and starships. The first target being Mon Calamari. Lando Calrissian led a defense force on Mon Calamari, but the New Republic's forces struggled against the seemingly unstoppable world devastators, which devoured entire cities and oceans. Back on Biss, R2-D2 was able to access the Emperor's control systems, discovering the master signal that controlled the world devastators and transmitted a shutdown command, causing several of the machines to go offline mid-assault and saving Mon Calamari from complete destruction. Although the mission succeeded, Luke's hold on the light side continued to weaken as Palpatine's dark influence grew stronger, slowly turning him to the dark side. Meanwhile, Leia Organa Solo receives a warning message from her brother Luke. Determined to save him, Leia and Han Solo journey to Biss to save him. Upon reaching Biss, Leia and her team infiltrate Palpatine's citadel, but are quickly captured and brought before the Emperor and Luke. In Palpatine's quarters, Leia learns of the Emperor's terrifying plan to possess her unborn child, Anakin Solo, as his new vessel as that body wouldn't deteriorate. Luke, after meeting Leia, briefly breaks through his dark side conditioning to help his family escape, though he remains behind, believing he can best defeat Palpatine from within. Luke then attempts to destroy Palpatine's cloning facility, where the Emperor keeps multiple clones ready to receive his spirit when his current body fails. Despite destroying every clone except for one, Luke fails to prevent Palpatine from transferring his consciousness to a fresh body. The Emperor, restored to full power, defeats Luke, fully turning him to the dark side. He then goes on to deploy the Eclipse, a superstar destroyer with the super laser capable of destroying planets, to destroy the main New Republic base. The climax unfolds aboard the Eclipse, where Leia, after surrendering herself to Palpatine to get on board the Eclipse, returns to help Luke. Her presence helps Luke break Palpatine's hold, leading to a fierce confrontation where the siblings face the Emperor together. In a fit of rage, Palpatine summoned a massive force storm, intending to annihilate both his enemies and the New Republic base. However, Luke and Leia combine their powers, causing Palpatine to lose control over the storm. As a result, the storm turned against him, engulfing the Eclipse and leading to its destruction. Just before the ship was completely destroyed, the siblings escaped to safety aboard a shuttle. This marked what seemed to be the end of Operation Shadowhand, yet Palpatine wasn't defeated entirely. One final clone body remained, allowing him to transfer his essence and survive. With renewed determination, he set out once more to spread fear across the galaxy and crush any remaining resistance. Palpatine deployed his newest superweapon, the Galaxy Gun, a massive cannon stationed near Biss. The Galaxy Gun could launch hyperspace-propelled projectiles capable of destroying entire planets. Palpatine intended to use it as a final terror weapon to subjugate New Republic worlds. Shortly after, he completed construction of the Eclipse II, a second Eclipse-class superstar destroyer to serve as his mobile base of operations. The New Republic, learning of the threat, started an attack on Biss. During the attack, R2-D2 managed to steer the Eclipse II directly into the Galaxy Gun. The collision caused the Galaxy Gun to misfire, sending one of its devastating projectiles into Biss itself. The resulting explosion obliterated the planet, annihilating Palpatine's infrastructure and resources and dealing a massive blow to the Emperor's forces. Palpatine, however, survived and continued to pursue the Solos, desperate to fulfill his plan to possess Anakin Solo, the only body capable of keeping him alive. Following the destruction of Biss, Palpatine tracked Leia, Han, and their children to the jungle moon of Onderon, where they had taken refuge. There, Palpatine launched a final attack and overpowered Leia easily. As Palpatine prepared to seize Anakin Solo, Luke arrived with a small group of Jedi allies, including the Jedi Knight brand. In the ensuing battle, Palpatine unleashed a torrent of Sith lightning, critically wounding Brand. Han Solo managed to land a blaster shot on the Emperor, temporarily delaying him. But Palpatine's spirit left his body and made a final attempt to possess the infant Anakin. At that moment, the dying Brand made the ultimate sacrifice, intercepting Palpatine's spirit. Using the last of his strength, Brand bound Palpatine's essence to his own, dragging the Emperor's spirit into the netherworld of the Force. With the help of every ancient Jedi spirit, Brand imprisoned Palpatine in chaos, ensuring his final, irreversible death. With Palpatine's last body destroyed and his spirit eternally trapped, the Emperor's dark influence over the galaxy was finally ended. The New Republic, though weakened, was now free to rebuild without the shadow of the Sith looming over it. Luke, having narrowly escaped the lure of the dark side, recommitted himself to restoring the Jedi Order, determined to ensure that the dark side would never rise to such power again. The Jedi holocron Leia had taken from Biss proved invaluable in these efforts, as it contained the ancient wisdom needed to train a new generation of Jedi. That's it for Part 3. Stay tuned for Part 4, where we'll look at Yuuzhan Vong War, the Second Galactic Civil War, and finally the Sith Imperial War. Please comment down below which war is the most intriguing and subscribe. Till next time.